All right, welcome back, everybody. So here we go. First off, if you're on YouTube, thank you very much for watching this video, and I recommend you check out my website here, www.danceofthecosmos. And now let's jump right in. We're talking about this is part 4 of exploring the Rashi series. We're going to talk about the elements, and the elements we're going to talk about are fire, earth, air, and water. Now, if you know about the elements, you'll know that there's actually 5 elements, right? There is, it goes, air. It goes ether or space, air, fire, water, earth. So why is there no ether? Why is there only 5? Well, I guess we'd have to have 15 signs, otherwise it wouldn't be fair. Well, the way that we like to think about it is it's space, right? It's space, it's the ether. It's like where all of this stuff, giving room for all of these things to exist. So ether is not ether or the space element, whichever term you prefer. I'm gonna use the word space element. The space element, it's nothing can exist without the space element being present in the first place. So it's like the field where everything gets to manifest, where all the other 4 elements dance around in is upon the space element providing that. So that's why we don't have a space Rashi. Now, with that being said, so let's take a look here at the 4 different types of elements. So what we have is we have fire element. Fire element represents it's like passion. It's like drive, it's energy, and it also has to do with just ourself. It's very important to understand that, and we'll really understand that when we actually look at the zodiac here in a second. So fire is about me and what I'm doing and my drive and what I'm trying to achieve. It's like burning energy that is behind this sign. And then we have the earth signs. The earth signs are just about being very cold, hard, and logical. Like, this is what's right here. This is what needs to be done because it exists. It has a form. It's very solid. It's a more stable type of sign. And then we have the air sign. The air signs are these signs where it's just like, ooh, just like air bounces around and can be lots of different ways and lots of different energies about it. And air is also about working with since it's always commingling, it's about working with other people. Air signs are very social signs. And then we have the water signs, and water is always represented with emotionality and how we feel and our feeling nature. And so now let's get into the zodiac. Let's take a look at this and see how it lines up. Now, what you'll see, what I've got here, you'll see here again, now there's 4 different colors to show the 4 different elements. So it's kind of easy for you to see right away. All the orange ones are fire, all the green ones are earth, all the white Rashis are air, all the blue are water. And just like with the in part 2, where I showed masculine and feminine, you will remember it's like there's a very even. The thing about this divisions of 2, division of 3, division of 4. This is the division of 4 here. Division of 3 was movable, fixed, and dual. Division of 2 was about masculine and feminine. With all of these, it's the order. They're all very orderly and very even and very predictable. Now, there's a lot of other traits that make up these signs, but these are the traits that are just even. It's like they're just like, okay, well, every other Rashi we goes fire, earth, air, water, fire, earth, air, water, fire, earth, air, water, continuously, right? It goes movable, fixed, dual, movable, fixed, dual, movable, fixed, dual, movable, fixed, dual. It goes masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine. So it's like it's a repetitive process, but there's a lot that we can learn. So that's why I started with part 1, where I gave you individual qualities, and then let's see how the divisions of 2, divisions of 3, and divisions of 4 work out. So enough about that. Now let's actually start implementing this with everything that we've already covered. So first Rashi we have is that of Aries. And we already know that we've mentioned this a lot about Aries. It's the ram, it's an active sign, it's very headstrong, go forward sign, but it's movable, so it's going to change from here to there. It's masculine, so it's about taking activity. And now the fire, what this is showing is that it's got a drive behind it. It's got a passion. It's got an idea. But it's also, remember what I've said about headstrong. I love this word for Aries. I love the idea of headstrong for Aries. And the reason why is because with Aries, it's it's about doing things because I think this is what needs to be done, because this is me and my belief, and it's all about me doing things. It's about being, the thing about fire signs is they're very individual based. Excuse me. They're very individually based. So it's like, I'm going to do this and I'm not going to think about anybody else. I'm doing this, especially with Aries, because the ram, it puts its head down and it just goes. And it goes that way because it's driven to do that. It's focused. It feels like that's where it needs to go. And it's not thinking of consequences because it's just a fire. And when I think about this, when I think of each of these elements, I always think about Aries is fire, but I think about the movable, fixed, dual aspect. What is it? It's a movable Rashi. It's about movable fire that spreads. So it's always looking to do something else. It's inspired to do many things, and able to shift its focus whenever it needs to. Just like it's like a wildfire because it can spread in any direction at any given time. So then let's look at the earth, right? So the earth element and the sign of Taurus. So what do we know about Taurus? Taurus is a bowl that is adorned, right? It is also it's about providing, and it's a very fixed sign. So it's fixed and it's a very stable sign. So one of the things about Taurus, so you have a bull, you have it being a fixed Rashi, and you have it being earth, which is very stable. This is a very hard working sign. These are people that are always fixed on what they're doing and dealing with cold hard reality and being in a very stable manner they're going about it. It's not only is it fixed, with the earth element there is it's stable. And so it's providing. And what are they providing? They're providing material security. So now earlier, I believe it was in part 2 or part 3, I talked about Taurus being related to material security. This is how now we're really sewing it together and showing you how it can be about material security, because it's an earth sign. It cares about earth things. And this is what we're providing. We're providing and making a better life for everybody with what we have. We're not doing that necessarily by there is love that is involved with it, because it's a very nurturing sign. Anytime you're nurturing and maintaining your responsibilities, there's love behind that. But what it's doing is it's providing that love by offering something, a stable ground, a stable earth to walk on. And these people are very hardworking. So now we start attaching all these things together and seeing how we're getting a bigger picture of how these signs work. Now let's go to Gemini. Well, Gemini, we know, is about our interests and pursuing whatever we need to do, and kind of being flexible in how we want to go about that because of its dual nature. We know that, it's about the woman with the lute. It's about the man with the club, so it can represent all the diversity of life. And now with the air sign, air is all about, it's about social. So it's about, working with other people. Gemini is a sign of playing games and having fun. I mean, you can play games and have fun by yourself, but a lot of times it's like you're going to get involved with other people to work with to do this. And also there's a certain idea of information. So with Gemini, it's about exploring information. The air element, is what's represented with information. Gemini is about information and exploring all the different paths and, going on different ones and staying fixed on this for a minute, changing onto this because it's a dual sign. And so that's kind of the nature of what Gemini is. Then we come down here to Cancer. Cancer now is a water sign. Remember I said water is about emotionality. It's about feeling. So with Cancer, Cancer is about the crab, right? So it's about adapting from one situation to the other. It's a movable sign. And I've talked about Cancer being in the flow before. And so why I always talk about Cancer as being with the flow is like, so I think about Cancer as movable sign and a water sign. So what's movable water? Movable water is like a river. So it's about getting into the flow of whatever I need to do to get into anything, you know? And so, and Cancer is also about providing, because, you know, we're adapting to our environment to provide and find nourishment. And Cancer is a very mothering sign, and it's very caring, and it's very caring from, like, I remember we said it's related to the heart. And so it's a very emotional sign and able to really just get into the flow of life. And then we come into Leo, and we know that Leo is represented by a lion. You know, he's presiding over his kingdom, and it represents dignity, and it represents the king. King rules over his kingdom. So Leo is also a fixed sign, and it's a masculine sign. It's an active sign of, you know, activity. And so, and then being a fire sign. So what Leo is it's like the king is, you see here now, it's like I'm doing all these activities because I'm driven to do this. This is what I'm inspired to do because this is what I believe is the thing that needs to be done. And so I have the fire and the drive and the passion and the energy to put it in there. And this is like, and Leo, now it's a fixed sign. It's a fixed fire sign. So Leo, I always think of as like the hearth, you know, or the campfire, the bonfire, the thing that burns for a long time. So it's not like moving from here to there and like all of a sudden ignites and flows. No, it's a steadiness to our fire, the fire and the drive of its long term, and it's more fixated upon what it is doing, upon its inspirations. It's not inspirations that change, but inspiration that moves us forward, because when we're looking at our kingdom, we're seeing the entire kingdom. We're doing what's right for the entire thing. So Leo is about moving forward and ruling over and presiding things of us, because that is our nature. And again, fire sign is about the self. It's about what I believe. What we're talking about the king, there's a certain idea of a single individuality here. And then another thing that Leo is involved with and kind of represents, so like on an interior nature, Leo represents our self-esteem, right? Which is, self-esteem is the idea of being secure in who we are in ourself. Because again, fire is like the representative of self. And the reason why we say fire is representative of self, because we are if you know anything, you heard anything about it, we are beings of light, right? And what is light? Light is created by some kind of combustion, which puts out heat and light, right? So at the very center of our solar system is the sun, who provides light through the combustion, you know, the changing of the nuclear reaction within the sun provides light and heat. And so that's also a sense of like consciousness. And so consciousness is related to light, which is related to the fire element. And so that's how we can start to look at that. It's that fixed fire. And then we come down into Virgo. And Virgo is, like, we know Virgo is the maiden, you know, we know with the grains in one hand and the herbs in the other hand. Virgo's about refining and making things better. Virgo's a feminine sign. Virgo's a dual sign. And because, you know, it's got the two different ways of going about things. And now knowing that it's an earth sign, it's a dual earth sign. So earth is stability. And what is stability? So when we're talking about refinement here, remember how I said before, and I believe it was the last video, in video 3, I mentioned how Virgo and Capricorn are both signs of fixing things and making them better. Notice how they're both earth signs. Earth is always about providing stability and material ground. It's about being very logical. How do we fix things? Because we see what's there. So we're able to assess the problem. We're able to assess the situation because we're using our feminine nature, our receptive nature, and then we're able to take the action when it needs to happen, which is what a movable sign does, which is what a dual sign has the capability of also. But with Virgo, what we're trying to do, Virgo really wants to refine and bring a greater sense of health, doing everything that it can, making things better, restoring things to their like previous form here. And so it's that dual earth, you know. So with Taurus, it was, fixed earth, always finding that stability. Now Virgo, now this is why Taurus isn't so much about, Taurus is just about providing, always providing. It's a fixed earth sign. So the dual earth sign is able to just constantly take care of and fix and refine and make things better. Then we go down here to Libra. Libra we know to be the scales. Libra we know is about working with other people in the marketplace. And we know that Libra is an active sign. Well, Libra is also an air sign. And Libra is a movable air sign. So whereas Gemini was the dual air sign, which is kind of like it goes this way or that way, and it's kind of like the changeable wind. And then Libra is the definition of changeability and always doing something else, always, because it's initiative and taking action, because it's a movable sign. And so, and then it's always about finding something better, because and it's a very social sign. Air signs are very social signs. So now it's about realizing that, constantly I'm going to be taking new actions every day. Every day requires me to weigh the scales and take an action. And, it's about adjusting to life and doing what we have to do, adjusting, working with other people, communicating information with other people, and doing so because Libra's the scales in a fair way. That's because how else are we going to make things fair if we're not movable and active and using our movable air element to make all this happen? Then next we have Scorpio. We know that Scorpio is the scorpion that's protecting what is deep inside, our deeper inner nature. And what is it? It's our deeper inner watery nature. It's a fixed sign. It's about what's already there. And so what is a fixed water sign? What do we think of fixed water? When I think of fixed water, I think of a lake. I think of a pond. I think of a puddle. And then, and so water sign, we're dealing with those deeper fixed emotionality of ourselves. And I've also mentioned in previous videos that Scorpio is a deep psychological sign. Because when we're talking about our deep inner nature, our deepest feelings, and, so it's something that's hidden deep underneath the surface, right? Because there's more. If you have fixed water, there's something underneath the surface. But what happens when, and especially when we get into looking at some deeper meanings of Scorpio, I'm just going to jump in right here because this is the 4th video of this series. Okay, so when we talk about fixed water, when we talk about deeper puddles, what happens? What's the difference between a river that we were talking about, like with Cancer, with the movable water, and the fixed water? Well, with the movable water, it's just constantly changing and shifting, and it's able to get in the flow because it's always moving. What happens with deep pools of water? Well, they can freeze. They can stagnate. Those are two of the biggest things that happens, right? If we have water sitting around, you're going to start forming like bacteria and things. And so what does that mean with Scorpio? That means that when we're dealing with what's deeper below, remember how it's about protecting? It's about our fears. It's about our deeper, sometimes the deeper stuff that we have in here. Like I said, it's psychological. It's about dealing with our fears. And some of the stuff that we deal with down here can be kind of yucky. And so, this is why Scorpio can be about transformation. It's the sign of being able to deal with all of this stuff here and being able to stay with it in a fixed way so that we can transform ourselves, because we're able to. This is why it's a deeper psychological sign, because we're not just going to be right here on the surface of what's happening and with what's changing in the world. We're going to be about, let's dive down here and work with this energy so one day I can find a better way to express it and release it. So that's the nature of Scorpio. Now we're getting into the home stretch, the third versions of all these elements. So now we get to Sagittarius, which we know that Sagittarius itself is it's that archer. It's the archer with the bow and arrow. It's the centaur that's holding that. It is about finding goal and purpose and direction. And now we see that and we know it's a dual nature, and it's got a dual nature of the man and the horse. And so he's ready to just see everything that's going on, take action at it because it's driven. That's what the fire is. The fire is that drive. That's what gives us our purpose and goals. We've got this aim. So, I mean, Sagittarius can be a very intense sign because of that. I mean, it's like, I'm taking aim. This is where I'm going. Because of my dual nature, I'm able to shift and change and do whatever I have to do to accomplish my bigger goals that I have in life. And it's my goals, because fire sign is a self sign. It's a sign where it's about who I am as an individual. It's like an individualized sign. So it's that fire that can change and reshape. And that's what goals, and that's what, when you have purpose with you, if you're living your life with purpose and you see meaning in everything, that is something you see. I'm clenching my fist. It's like I'm driving. I want to focus that energy somewhere and take it, because it's what I believe in. It's what I see needs to happen. So I'm going to go do it, and I'm going to go about doing it in any manner I need to, because I have a greater vision and purpose, because I have the strength to go, because I got the body of a horse, and then I got the upper body of a man. So I'm just able to see all of these things, manipulate things, so I can go after that goal. So now, then we get to Capricorn. Capricorn, the movable earth sign. So remember now, when I was talking about the movable sign, remember how I was talking about how with Capricorn, you know, the crocodile, you know, wanting to fix things. Remember how I was talking about Capricorn wanting a fixed form? Well, this is why I was saying it's a fixed active. How is it feminine and how is it fixed at the same time? You know, and you know how how is it movable? How is it movable? So it's movable earth. So what that shows you, and this is why when I say that Capricorn's about fixing the problems, but it's an earth sign, because it's looking for a solid form. This is what that crocodile energy is finding that solid form, but having to constantly shift, you know, it's like to create that solid form. And so Capricorn is about fixing. That's why we say Capricorn is about fixing things, because earth signs are always about providing and to provide, whereas Taurus is about just always providing and just making sure we have material security, material abundance. Virgo is about, you know, fixing things, because I could see all the different options to fix them. Capricorn is about fixing things that need to be fixed so we can have this steady form. It's about constantly making all the different changes that we can to provide for something with the actions and the activities that we have to do in life, but being receptive, using that feminine nature, and really being receptive to see how these things, how we can create that form and make those changes, and to constantly shift to create things, constantly fixing things. And then we get into Aquarius, the fixed air sign. And we know that Aquarius, the man with the pitcher, bearing the burdens of life, you know, that's the fixed idea of Aquarius is, you know, I've always got this container here. I've always got this water that's pouring in from above, and I'm bringing it out in front of me for others. I'm nurturing other people. And why am I nurturing other people? Because it's an air sign. Because air is a social sign. Air is information. And see, it's that fixed information. And what's fixed information is it's this, everything about it is fixed. It's like it's working for a greater cause. So like with Gemini, it's about exploring, it's working with people, it's like having fun. Libra, it's about scale, so it's about working with people, and it's about working with people to create something equal and fair. And then with Aquarius, it's just about working to help everybody, doing what you can, bearing the burdens of life to help as many people as possible, because you're fixed on that idea, you're fixed on that information. Fixed information is like the greater picture, that I'm just one, and amidst an ocean of many. So, and I'm going to do my best to bear my burden, to work my thing amidst all the rest of this, because air is everywhere, right? So it's like amidst all these other air particles, I'm just one. And I'm just going to work for the greater scope of the whole. And that's the social nature of Aquarius. You know, it's that socially working with other people. Now, since it's fixed, we'll get into this in a minute. So now let's just get into Pisces. Pisces. We know that Pisces is the two fish that work together. We know that that's a dual sign, and we're realizing that everything is just a cycle, and it's about surrendering and getting into acceptance and understanding that there's a greater ocean around us, a greater ocean of water. I look at the way I look at the three water signs is, so this is the river. Cancer is your rivers, your streams, your movable water. Scorpio is your water that's contained. You know, it's like the lakes, the ponds, the deeper pools of water. Pisces is water everywhere. Pisces, I say, is the sign of like the ocean. And so it's dual. We know that everything that we do is just part of a cycle. It's going to come back together, like the two fish with that form a cycle. That's the representation of Pisces. And so it's very peaceful, because when you're in the ocean, you know you're surrounded by water. And that's really what Pisces is all about. So now, with that being said, what I want to point out with these signs, which you're always going to see with fire signs and air signs. I'm sorry, with fire and air signs are always opposite each other. We see here Aries, Libra, always opposite. So we have Leo and Aquarius. Fire for Leo, air for Aquarius. We have Gemini, air, Sagittarius, fire, always opposite. So what that shows us, remember how I said that fire is about self? And remember how I said about air is social? So Aries is about me working myself, doing what it is that I think I need to do and changing all the time. Well, Libra's also about changing all the time and taking activity, but Libra's working with other people to do it. If I'm an Aries person, I'm coming up with my own ideas of what I think needs to be done. And I'm not thinking about the consequences, and I'm not thinking about other people. If I'm Libra, I'm weighing the consequences. I'm thinking about how it's going to be influenced by other people. I'm asking for other people's ideas. Now, if I'm Gemini, I'm exploring, I'm seeing all the differentiation and seeing all these little different pieces of information and the paths that are there. And if I'm Sagittarius, I'm seeing the bigger picture, but I'm taking one direction. I'm seeing it's about direction, about drive and purpose, where this is about just exploring minutia. Sagittarius is like developing an ideal, developing a philosophy, and that's why I'm driving here. Gemini is about seeing all the different ways it can go and not really believing in it. Gemini is not about beliefs. Gemini is about information. Sagittarius is about beliefs. And then we come over here to Leo. Leo is about me and governing my kingdom and doing the greatest thing I can to provide for my kingdom. Aquarius is about doing everything that I can to provide for everybody, not just me, and definitely it's not about me. In fact, it's about everybody. It's about the bigger picture. Who cares about how it affects me? Who cares about the choices and everything that I make? You know, it's about it's not just about me and my kingdom. It's about the greater kingdom of of everything. So that's kind of the difference between those two signs. You can see how they're both similar but opposite. And then we go to the earth signs are always opposite water signs. So earth signs are about material. They're about the ground, the solid form. Water signs are about, and earth signs are also logical. They're just like, this is the way it is. This is right in front of me. This is a piece of earth. This is a rock. This is what I have to deal with. I have to move this rock, and I have to use this rock to break a coconut so I can feed my family. And I got to figure out how to use this rock to break this coconut so I can feed my family. Whereas and so there's a certain element of, like I've said here, material security. And then with the water signs, it's emotionality. It's how do I feel? How do I feel about this? And getting into the flow of emotion, whether it's a deep emotion, whether it's feeling connected to a whole, or whether it's just going along with the flow of the moment. See, water signs are all kind of like watery and movable, whereas earth signs are just like cold, hard. This is the way it is. This is kind of what I have. This is what I have to work with. So let's make these things happen. So with Taurus, it's about providing for everybody. It's about finding that material security where everybody is fed, everybody gets to eat, everybody is taken care of. Where Scorpio is about feeling emotionally secure, and that they're able to transform and really be in touch with these deeper feelings and working with the fear and everything. That's what emotional security is. Because if you have a strong Scorpio, you're able to get in touch with this deeper stuff, and that's kind of what is flowing. You're like, I know how I feel down deep, and I feel good about how I feel down deep, so I'm able to move forward in life because I found that deep feeling. And then when you have Cancer is about like adapting and getting into the flow of everything that's changing and how I feel about this, and being able to move around in the world, because it's like I can get in the flow. I'm cool with being sad today and being happy tomorrow and being annoyed 5 minutes later or whatever, but because it's all part of the flow, and I'm able to just work with that and let it just go and let it just pass away. Let it just pass on. Oh, look, yeah, I was angry with you, but I was angry with you 5 minutes ago. Now I'm back to normal, whatever. I mean, that you did something that annoyed me, and now I'm good. And then Capricorn is also about that movable earth, always doing what I can to provide, always looking to give you what is needed, always coming up with more in a very logical, down-to-earth approach. Earth signs, down to earth is a perfect idea. Watery is just kind of like, oh, I'm just kind of up here in the flow. Earth is like the opposite. Earth is like, well, I'm down here I don't know where you are. You're over there trying to talk about how good you feel. I'm over here dealing with the reality, and trying to find some material activity here in this world and things of that nature. And trying to fix things, always constantly fixing things so it's better for other people, so other people are supported. Earth gives stability and support. And then, so water is like getting in the flow. And then earth is like providing support and somewhere to stand. And then finally we have Pisces and we have Virgo. So what's interesting I find with Virgo and Pisces, so I always talk about the maiden, right? The maiden with Virgo, where she's holding the grains with one hand and the herbs in the other hand. Well, she's also standing upon a boat. I was waiting until we started talking about the elements before I got into really diving into this. I've been kind of shying away from this. So it's like this maiden is standing in a boat which is on top of the water, right? So it's like there's water underneath me, but I'm contained and I'm away from that. I'm here trying to make life better on earth. I'm trying to refine and make things better in a concrete way. Whereas Pisces is like, I'm connected to the source here. I know that everything I do, it doesn't really, it's not that it doesn't matter. It's that it's all connected. It's all a cycle. I feel connected with everything because I'm in the ocean. Everywhere I go, it's just water around me. It's all just the emotion. I'm able to just find more peace and more contentment because I know that I'm surrounded by water, and so that's kind of a way to use all of these and to always see that they're always opposite. So if your rising sign is Aquarius, and I talked about this in a previous video where when we talk about the first sign, the Lagna, the rising sign, the ascendant, that's the path that we're on in life, where the seventh is the path where we're going in life, right? So if you're an Aquarius, that means that you're always working for other people. You're working to make things better in life. And what's your path that you're really trying to develop in life, where you're going from one end of the horizon to the other end of the horizon? Well, where you're going is to become Leo. You need to become more about your kingdom. It's like you're doing all this energy that you're taking on this path here of Aquarius and providing for everybody is so that you can learn to provide for yourself, and who you are and what is stabilizing your own internal kingdom and not just everybody else, not worrying about all the other people. And you can attribute that with all the fire in the air. So if you're in a fire sign, it's about you. If you're a fire ascendant, you got to learn to work with other people somehow. And that's going to be same thing here. If you're a Sagittarius ascendant, well, you're learning to by having your purpose and knowing where you need to go and having that direction and that drive, you're learning how to appreciate all the different variations of life and how everything can work and how you can learn to use your skills and explore. So anyways, you can look at that for all the water and the earth and everything, kind of get that idea of how, because this, what's really important is how these Rashis are connected. So anyhow, this has been a very long video, and hopefully you stayed and watched the whole thing. And I hope you find this valuable, and thank you very much, and namaste.